What does a good corner kick have to do with public speaking? A good corner kick relates very closely to public speaking. Why? Trained athletes need to identify the opportunities and constraints in their situation, and then respond with skills, experience, and judgment. In ancient times, students trained for wrestling in the same place that they trained for speech and debate. Both required an ability to adapt quickly and respond dynamically. They weren't born great wrestlers or great speakers. They had to train and they had to practice. This video will talk about how we bring these concerns into the study of public speaking. First, we'll talk about the rhetorical situation, that unique set of opportunities and constraints that you face when you stand to speak. And then second, we'll talk about how speakers develop the skills, experience, and judgment required to respond effectively to these rhetorical situations. So let's start by talking about rhetorical situations. And we'll do this by thinking through a hypothetical but not uncommon example. Let's say that you have to give a short update at your job about a project that you're in charge of. Unfortunately, the project's over deadline, it's over budget. You still think it's a good project, so you want to make a strong case. Now, in preparing the update, you're working within the broad genre of Western-style presentational speech. What are your concerns? Keep it under 15 minutes. Make sure to address key concerns. Don't speak too informally. Don't speak too formally. Okay. In addition to those broad issues, your department has a couple of unique expectations. So most people in your department stand at a podium like this instead of walking around. Who knows why that practice emerged? It just did. It's now the norm. Everyone in your office seems to include a ton of text on their slides. All of those expectations weigh upon you as the speaker. Doesn't matter though. Come Monday morning at 9:30 a.m., you got to stand and deliver. All of these factors comprise what we would call the rhetorical situation. Each time you stand to speak, you're trying to come up with the best or the most appropriate response to the specific rhetorical situation that you find yourself in. So at a minimum, rhetorical situations include factors like topic, right? What are you speaking on and how does that limit what you can do for this audience? Are there some things that you have to include? Are there some things maybe that you would like to avoid, right? So topic, a setting. Setting's another factor. Where is the speech happening? When's it happening? How does that impact you? Right? This presentation is going to look very different if you deliver it in Paris or Moscow or Omaha, Nebraska. Audience is a factor. What does the audience already know? Right? You don't want to rehash content that they already know. That's going to be boring. Okay? What questions or reservations do you think this particular audience has? Stuff like occasion. What are some expectations that exist because of the speech genre itself, right? What does your audience expect to hear in a standard project update, right? If you come out all Winston Churchill for a routine budget update, that's probably not going to work. All of these factors shift and change. Some you can ignore, others you can't. Why go into all of this? To illustrate a simple but often overlooked point. There is no single form of successful speaking. A good presentation is one that responds most effectively to its rhetorical situation, right? As a speech teacher, I can't simply teach the one form of speech that works in all genres for all speakers across all time. It doesn't exist. On the flip side, we can't look at every successful and unsuccessful speech in all genres for all speakers across all time. That would take a bajillion years. That's bananas. So instead, let's go back to the sports analogy. A corner kick is a set play, right? It's like a rhetorical situation. But each corner kick calls for a unique response. The players have to adapt to the other players. They have to adapt to the conditions on the field, the overall strategy. How do successful players manage all of these factors? Well, that's the second thing I want to talk about in this video. Good players, just like good speakers, have the capacity to respond well to their rhetorical situation due to skills, experience, and judgment. These three factors reinforce one another. So first, skill. Speaking's an intellectual and physical skill like playing sports. So, for example, when we think about good soccer players, we think about their ability to attack and to defend, to strategize, to work with other players. We don't simply look at a great player and say, oh, it's their ability to trap the ball well. That's what makes them great, okay? Those players are great not because of a single skill. They're good because of a whole bunch of skills. In a corner kick, the players need to have skills at trapping and heading and kicking. Now, those skills are developed and refined through experience, the second part of this triangle, right? High-level soccer players have spent decades playing in practices and games. They have a deep well of experience. They've been in a wide range of rhetorical situations, playing situations. So I'll often work with people who maybe do a handful of speeches a year, and they're like, well, why am I not getting better at public speaking? Because you ain't done it enough, okay? I run a tutoring center. The students that I train up as speech coaches significantly improve their speaking skills just through coaching. They're not doing speeches. How's it that they're getting better at speaking? Here's why. By the time they show up in my center, they already have lots of speaking experience. What coaching does for them is it puts them in a wide range of new experiences. So they may not be an economist, but in coaching an economist, they're confronted with new ideas and challenges. Those experiences significantly increase their overall experience base, right? You need to expand your experience. That comes from doing more speeches on a variety of topics. Experience teaches the best lessons, but it demands time. Okay, great speakers have skills. They have a number of techniques that they've refined. They have experience after doing a wide variety of speeches in a variety of settings. And perhaps most important, they have a strong sense of judgment about what to do and when to do it. So in our corner kick, the players know where to position themselves. They know when to jump, when to clear the ball, who to kick it to. So I'm a huge boxing fan. It's the same thing there. Experienced fighters usually have more tools in their toolkit because they've trained more and they've fought more rounds. But that's just a lead up to the fact that they know when to use those tools. They know when to play for time and box on the outside. They can sense when to close in and push hard for the knockout. Winning isn't just strength or speed, it's skills, experience, and judgment. When and how to use the tools you have in the situation that you're in. In the same way, great speaking isn't just about having good delivery. It's about being able to judge rhetorical situations accurately, come up with good content, arrange it appropriately, and perform it well. Delivery is important for a speaker. Trapping is important for a soccer player. A good jab is essential for a boxer. But it's not just that one thing. The goal of rhetorical study isn't simply to write a good speech. The goal is to become a good speaker. And this is why it proves so challenging to so many people. It's a long-term pursuit. Not to get too tautological, but good speakers speak well because they're good speakers. Now, good speakers weren't simply born that way. They became good speakers by developing their skills, expanding their experience, and refining their judgment. Approaching public speaking from a rhetorical standpoint helps you do that. It gives you the benefit of 2 millennia of sustained thinking into how to develop effective speeches that are written for the ear. As should be obvious by now, the rhetorical tradition is pretty Western. I keep mentioning Greeks and Romans, right? That's neither good nor bad, it just is. Any approach to public speaking is going to have its strengths and limitations. Rhetoric offers a way of thinking about speeches, but it's not the only way to think about speeches. It is, however, a tradition built on writing for the ear. At this point in my career, I've used a rhetorical approach to teach public speaking with tens of thousands of students. The most common thing I hear is that rhetoric demystifies public speaking. It can offer a step-by-step guide to doing a good talk.